have you shot your final scenes yet? And are you happy with how things ended?
Yes.
She didn't say yes. You didn't say yes.
Best season ever!
It's the best. It's the best season ever.
Olivia Rodrigo built her entire pop empire on heartbreak. With 2 record-breaking albums, she was dubbed a voice of a generation, someone who turned teenage angst into a lucrative brand. Her lyrics felt like they were ripped out of her diaries. But after the massive Guts World Tour, everything went quiet. And that silence left fans and critics hungry for whatever Rodrigo had planned next. Now with her Vogue cover story and her chaotic promotional rollout, I'm asking an uncomfortable question. After her juggernaut debut and an adequate follow-up, is Olivia Rodrigo flying by the seat of her pants? Now, Olivia has maintained a strict no-talking policy about her music, probably a smart way to protect herself from the plagiarism allegations that have been weaponized against her. But this strategy has its limitations. At some point, she has to discuss her work in depth, because right now, the silence is starting to look less like Mystique and more like she's painting herself into a creative corner she can't get out of.
I feel energized and inspired and ready to put that pen to paper.
To understand what I think is happening, we need to rewind. When Driver's License exploded in 2021, it wasn't just a hit. It was a cultural moment. One of the first songs to break into the mainstream through TikTok. It was packed with real-life lore involving her ex, Joshua Bassett, and a melody that bottled universal heartbreak in the most specific way possible. Sour doubled down on that formula. Traitor, Deja Vu were brutally honest snapshots of emotional chaos.
But it's hard to explain.
Rodrigo was pop's most reliable narrator of pain. But with Rodrigo's ascension, a troubling narrative began. Detractors started questioning her originality and pondered why her songs sound so familiar. And then the whole Taylor Swift and Paramore songwriting credits drama happened, and that did not help.
Olivia has been a self-proclaimed Swiftie for most of her life and regularly gushed over the Grammy winner at the start of her music career in 2021.
I'm the biggest Swiftie in the whole world. I think she is the most genius songwriter, and I'm just obsessed with her.
Taylor publicly reciprocated the love at the time, but things took a turn after the release of Olivia's debut album, Sour. The singer was credited on Olivia's track One Step Forward, Three Steps Back because it uses an interpolation of her 2017 song New Year's Day. But fans were confused when they noticed Taylor was retroactively credited on one of Olivia's biggest hits, Deja Vu, due to an apparent interpolation of Taylor's song Cruel Summer. And it was later reported that Olivia gave up 50% of the royalties on the song as a result.
Personally, I don't think this invalidates Olivia's artistry. Lots of artists draw heavily from their influences, but this situation planted seeds of doubt. Was she channeling pure emotion, or was she a talented student piecing together sounds she already knew would work? That question raised the stakes for everything that came next. Pressure of Guts was insane. The whole world was watching for a sophomore slump, and she didn't exactly deliver one. The album debuted at number 1 and launched another blockbuster world tour. Sonically, it pushed Rodrigo into grittier pop punk and alt-rock territory. Thematically, it tackled the same themes from Sour, but from a different point of view. Social awkwardness, beauty standards, and the quiet rage of being a young woman constantly under scrutiny, with songs like Ballad of a Homeschool Girl and All-American B to best exemplify that. That's just to name a few. Guts was still operating within the same creative box Sour was. Confessional, a little messy, rooted in a very specific kind of youthful suffering. Guts proved she could do it again, but it made the walls of that box thicker, and it left a much bigger question hanging. What happens when she's not a teenager anymore? At 23, what defines her beyond past teen angst? What happens when she's away from the machine and has to figure out who she is?
Getting healthier as I get older.
After the Guts World Tour wrapped in late 2024, Olivia went ghost. With an exception of a few festival dates in 2025, nothing was really going on for her. No major interviews, no constant content, just quiet. In pop, silence is a power move, something only a few stars can pull off. Done right, it says, I know you'll be here when I get back. It creates a mystery that's impossible to manufacture. In an era of constant overexposure, my initial take was that Olivia was recharging, collecting new experiences, getting new stories to tell. But then came her Vogue cover story, and it made me think she might be winging it. Here's why. Olivia right now is pulling a Beyonce circa 2022. When Beyonce rolled out Renaissance in 2022, it was 6 years since her last solo studio album. Our first major introduction to the project was a British Vogue cover story. Days later, Break My Soul dropped. Then by the time the album art was revealed, the audiences already understood the sonic world Beyonce was entering, old school dance music, ballroom culture, club euphoria. We also understood the goal of the album, all that good stuff. The Vogue shoot, the single, the cover art, all were coherent, a unified vision. The Vogue interviewer even stated in that Beyonce cover story, "I'm transported to the clubs of my youth, music that will unite so many on the dance floor, music that touches your soul." Clear, evocative, you knew exactly where you were walking into. Rodrigo's Rollout, incoherent by comparison. Her Vogue cover shoot, I'm assuming, was supposed to convey intimacy, fresh-faced, barefoot on the beach, but seeing this as the cover made things so much more confusing.
I'm lost. I'm just so lost.
And the interview itself didn't land a clear vision either. There's discussion about her love of English culture, her boyfriend Louis Partridge, I think that's his name. All interesting enough, but when it comes to the album, the first descriptor is mostly sad love songs, which isn't much to go off from since, in my opinion, she's always made music like that. The Vogue writer goes further, describing the music as instantly transporting, cinematic, and intimate. Themes of obsession, fear, yearning, and the realization that love won't fix you. That's actually a compelling angle, albeit a very familiar one, but as I digress. But compare that rich description to Rodrigo's own words and you see the gap. There are sad love songs. She'll, meaning Rodrigo, later wrote over email, "I realized all my favorite romantic love songs were beautiful because they had a tinge of fear or yearning in them." To which you might be thinking, so what? That's inconsequential. You're reaching. But the thing is, Rodrigo does this again in another interview with Vogue. In her Vogue YouTube interview, it was a cute cooking video where she talks about needing boredom to write her best material. Lovely. But when asked directly what the album was about, she says love, and then admits that that's a broad answer.
An emotion that I'm most interested in writing about. I think in this album, I really wanted to write about love, which is the most broad topic ever. I think in music, my favorite love songs are love songs that are a little bit sad or have a little bit of like wistfulness or mourning or fear or something. And so I kind of set out making this album like trying to write a sad love song.
If she had said something along the lines of what the Vogue writer described, obsession, anxiety, the depression when your lover is gone, I'd give her more credit, but she didn't. And I've mentioned this before during my Guts album review, but that gap between what people project onto her music and how they articulate her work and how she actually describes it makes me think we're imposing more depth into her work than is actually there. Get this woman talking substantially about her music. Until she does, we're just guessing, and that might be exactly what she's counting on.
I won't give too much away.
If you still think I'm being unreasonable and don't think Rodrigo is winging OR3, let me run through the other evidence I have very quickly. Exhibit A, the promotional mural. It started with being purple, having an OR3 on it, until a few weeks later it turned pink and revealed the album title, "You Look So Sad for a Girl So in Love," something like that. Nobody believed it was real. It was too long to remember, too long to abbreviate. That, along with the color change, screams last minute decision making to me. Honest to God, who approved this title? Then the album cover dropped. Olivia was on a swing, wearing a baby doll dress, shot from below. I'll be generous, the swing could symbolize love's highs and the lows, fine, but the baby doll dress, she already has immaturity allegations to contend with. Guts showed her trying to age up, edgier costumes, more adult themes. So why go backward? I genuinely hope it's satirical, because right now it just reads as really confused. Looking at the recent visuals we've seen thus far in the Rollout, can you honestly say that they are coherent with one another? All of this sets up an impossible tightrope for album 3. In pop, the third record is where artists either cement the legacy or begin to fade. For Olivia, the stakes are doubled. She can't just reformulate the magic of Sour and Guts, she must transcend it. If she doesn't, it proves the point that she's trapped, unable to grow past the story that made her famous. And in my opinion, she might have trouble making her music as interesting as the narratives around her. I know it sounds weird. Interestingly enough, there was a lot of substance in the Rodrigo Vogue cover story. It touches on Rodrigo's first experiences with dating, not meeting people her age often because she grew up on set. And when she officially started dating, it was when she was mega famous. It also mentioned how regretful Rodrigo was missing out on critical rites of passages like a college experience. The toll the industry and fame took on her will always be her most captivating narrative. But do I believe she can convey that in her music? I don't know. She's an artist who I find more intriguing than her actual music. I know it's kind of weird. Look, this video might be a little harsh. And to be clear, I don't want to be right. Olivia Rodrigo has genuine talent. There's something there. But the promo rollout has been all over the place. And every time she gets a chance to tell us what the album means, she blunders it. Like, I don't know how to explain it. She either says nothing or says something too vague to hold on to. She has so much to work with. The anxiety of loving someone while being mega famous, the pressure of growing up in the public, the loneliness of life that looks perfect from the outside. That's rich material. So the question was never whether her third album will be successful, it's if she can successfully harness the substance around her to convey a really solid, nuanced body of work. I don't know. It's like there's something off with how she doesn't really harness the resources around her. I don't know. So this is kind of me rambling, but please hype the video, like the video, comment if you agree with me or if you don't agree with me. I know it's kind of like a stream of consciousness, but I just had to get it out my chest. Bye.